Morning, live viewers. Tom Carr, founder of Drink Less, Feel Fresh. If we haven't met before, please jump straight into the chat panel or the live Q&A. Let me know if you're rocking out with us live. Would love to hear from you. Really looking forward to today's call as we dive into something that is my absolute passion and really the foundation of the Drink Less, Feel Fresh approach, which is all things detoxing, the art of detoxing, the hidden benefits, and ultimately how to start, maintain, and complete a detox. So if you're someone who's on a drink less journey and you're always looking to reduce your alcohol intake, whether you drink a little or a lot, then this call is going to be right up your alley. All right, I'm just going to open up the chat panel. I can see Isabel's on the call. Hi, Isabel. Great to see you here. Please let us know if this is your first live podcast recording you have attended to. I'm really, really excited. Those of you that are live, this is something very new to us. It's only our third episode this week, which is absolutely awesome, but we're getting a lot of feedback. The individuals are loving that they can show up to these live. Traditionally speaking, podcasts are recorded in like a sound exclusive studio and then trimmed and edited and uploaded for people to watch the recording. But we thought, why not give individuals a chance to rock up live on the spot. I'm going to bring the incredibly talented head of behavioral change and program design at Drink Less, Feel Fresh onto the call, and then we're going to dive into it. Episode 3. So grab a cup of tea or your morning coffee or however it is that you start your day.
Morning, Thomas.
Nat, he's here. How are you, mate?
Mate, how are you?
Very well, bud. Very well.
Morning.
Good morning, my man. How you feeling today?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I'm just going to move a couple of technical things on my screen as I find a new way for us to record this today, which is very exciting. Nat, how are you enjoying the first few episodes of the Feel Fresh podcast?
Hey, even last night, I was saying to my wife laying there in bed, like, I just want to get up and get this podcast cranking again. Let's do it.
Mate, I felt the exact same way this morning. I think, and I'm really glad that we did change it to Mondays, because what a way to start the day, just having a conversation that absolutely matters. In saying that, thank you to the viewers that are on the call, a few people watching live. Welcome. All right. Welcome to the Feel Fresh Mondays podcast. This is episode 3. Tom Carr here, founder of Drink Less, Feel Fresh, accompanied by the incredibly talented Nat Hodges, head of program design and behavioral specialist.
Something like that.
I'll just keep throwing things in there if that's all right. by the episode 100, you'll just have this 10-minute intro, Nat. It'll be great. Listeners today and viewers, today we are diving into detoxing, the hidden benefits, the reasons behind taking a short, sharp break from alcohol, and why it can be such an incredible approach. Now, you probably know this is something that I've been passionate about since 2015, and for those of you that are listening now, it's 2022, so 7 years.
Hey.
I've been passionate about the short, sharp detox approach. Yep. As opposed to the abstinence for the rest of your life. And I'm curious, I just want to start today's podcast, Nat, by asking you, what is it about that attracted you to the Drink Less, Feel Fresh brand? What is it about that thinking and that methodology as opposed to just quit alcohol, never touch it again?
Well, it was actually the opposite that bounced me, got me interested, so I'll explain it. Tommy, sorry. Just feel the weight, right, of thinking I can never drink again. Just feel the weight of that pressure. Now that tells me, hey, that's incorrect. No one should experience that amount of pressure anywhere. And so, like, it's just, as I said last call, we addict and we attach, and that's okay. Now, we're a system that attaches and addicts, and that's okay. Now, imagine putting the weight of you're not allowed to ever do something again.
Are you kind of suggesting then that from like more of a psychology view at this, you're kind of suggesting that it's almost a backwards approach to life itself? Like it almost goes against the natural law of... Yeah.
Okay, so our life and just look at the background of your life, right, Tommy? Has anything ever gone exactly to plan that you wanted it to?
No.
Exactly. Because life has its own movements, its own unfoldings, its own flourishings, its own things, right? So our human mind thinks we can put a stopgap on anything and it's going to be okay.
Mm.
No.
Yeah, so we're kind of talking now about, and if you're listening, viewers, we're into the podcast. If you're here to listen to learn about detoxing, the thinking that goes into the detoxing matters most, because we're talking about detoxing in a certain way, but there's other approaches that talk about detox the rest of your life, like never touch it again. So it's important to understand that that's what we love at Drink Less Feel Fresh, isn't it? That like the dynamics and the thought that goes into what you're about to do more so than what you're about to do. We don't mind if someone detoxes and never touches alcohol again. That's great. We'll have you back for sure. But if the thinking is, as Nat saying, that rigid, I'm not allowed flexibility, I'm not allowed to do that, it can be like utterly debilitating for people.
Yeah. So what attracted me to you, Tommy, first of all, was the approach is more aligned to how things go anyway. So it's more like the abstinence approach is kind of, imagine this: there's a river flowing by, and it's crazy and it's going everywhere, and sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's full on, sometimes it's still, sometimes it's muddy, sometimes it's clear, it's doing its thing. And that can be tough if this is a metaphor. The easiest thing to do is grab a bucket, scoop some of the water out and go, oh, still water, that's really nice. And it works. And so the metaphor of the bucket is like, going into a program or doing something like that. And the belief is that if I go into a program and scoop this bucket of water out, it's going to stay still forever. It will stay still forever, but it'll get mossy, it'll get dirty, it'll get stagnant, it'll get contaminated, and you have to pour it back in to clean it up again.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what I actually took from that is, I'm pretty visual as well. What I took from that is that would be a different approach to just build a dam, let the water build up, never touch it, feel the pressure, the boiling. And that's like, I know we're laughing now because we love to bring a lighthearted approach to these conversations that can be pretty heavy hitting sometimes, but that is what I do not like in the traditional market, is that someone can be sitting there boiling, have 3 to 5 years of sobriety or even a 90-day detox under their belt, and there's the pressure that if I pick up an alcoholic beverage, I'm a failure, I've ruined it, the last 3 years doesn't matter, I'm back to where I was. And that for me, I think, is just far too painful. And that's not, I'm just going to say it, that's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not.
That is not fair for an individual to feel like they're that much of a stuff up.
A broken person, yeah.
A broken person. There we go. If they have a drink, and if they have a drink, it means they are a broken person, or it means they haven't done the work, or it means they're not there yet.
Where do you go from there, Tommy? Like, how do you even, if someone is that entrenched in false belief of their self? Because it is all false belief. Like, it's so hard. Where do people go from there? How do you get out of that? How do you change that? How do you get a little free of that?
I was thinking about this morning, and like most messages that we share, when you really dive deep into psychology and human behavior, you and I speak about this a lot. A lot of messages are contradictory, right? And they have to be, because otherwise then you and me are bringing a black and white approach to say, well, this is the only approach. So number one I would share is like, it's fine. It's okay. You can live that way. But as long as you're choosing to trust a system, a rigid system, more so than you're choosing to trust yourself. And even that'll lessen pressure and stress. So, it's like, okay, I'm choosing to use that system because I don't trust myself, and it increases the quality of my life to the level that I want it.
Perfect.
Like, as long as you're choosing it, where it's a problem is where we are the victim of the system. It's almost like, we're a victim of the method. I look at it like, it's almost like you're stuck in a narcissistic relationship with someone. So, like, it's this codependence on the thing. And I've got to have the thing, and the thing's got to be right. And if I don't do it well, I'm treated like shit. But then even though I'm treated like shit, I'm not allowed to leave the thing. I've got to come back. So I think I see it like, I look at it like it's a bit of a narcissistic relationship where you don't want to be in it, but you got to be there because it keeps you safe. And then you can't leave because then you're naughty.
Yeah.
So that can be.
Tommy, how do you feel about this? A method of change. Let's talk about methods. So the traditional method. I've heard something great that is it's such a good philosophy to take into any method. Any method that's worth its salt that gets you free of something or changes something. If the method is good for you, it should self-destruct at the end and you're left with the learnings but not the method.
Totally agree. Can you share a little bit more for some individuals that may not be aware of a bit of that language around methods and self-destruction?
So like let's say the typical system, the 12-step system. Great, it's a great system. But let's overlay what we're talking about here. If it's right for you, the experience should be you go through the method and you invest in it. If the method works, there should be a new understanding of you and your relationship to alcohol at such a level that you don't need the method anymore. What's left over is what it's given you.
Oh, yes. Yeah, really clear. 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. I think a lot of us fall into the trap of thinking because the method works, I need to repeat it,
Yes.
as opposed to the method works, now it's time to move on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that'll link us into what we're like. Let's talk directly now about detoxing. For someone who wants to start an alcohol reduction journey, a lot of the time I hear this question, Nat, especially our members share this with us in the Drinkless Feel Fresh community. So, Nat, Tom, I'm thinking about, really starting this relationship with alcohol and creating change. I'm thinking about this week when I go to this event where I normally drink a lot, I'm going to drink like 3 or 4 and then stop.
Yeah.
And we often really passionately share, you can do that for sure. Come back to us. Like, let us know how you go. It's always about trial and error. But if it's not working, try a different way. The power of just taking a short, sharp detox and break. And as we dive into it, I just wanted to share this, and then I'm going to hand over to you, Nat, because I would like you to share a little bit about your professional insight on what's going on in your body when you do detox and break. I kind of have this a bit of a fluffy belief that holds really true as well, is that if you couldn't live without it, you don't deserve it.
So, okay, hang on. Let me just pass that through. If you couldn't live without it, you don't. Okay, I'm with you. Yep.
Yeah, and it ties into kind of what you talk about, what we spoke about earlier, which is this, yes, we attach to things and we're often attached to things, but I think I shared this in a post the other day. I think a lot of people want to get back to appreciating and respecting alcohol. Like when they started drinking it, it was probably a delicacy or an exciting thing. It was an add-on to the social event. It was an add-on to the night out with friends. And I think people just want to.
Exciting.
Yeah, and I think people just want to get back to that.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like that famous quote too. If you love something, let it go. And if it comes back to you, it's probably right for you.
Bingo.
And that's what I believe when it comes to detoxing. Like if you can't live without it for a short amount of time, you don't have to overthink about it. You're reliant on it, which means you're not living, which means you need it in your life to survive.
Stuff. That's it. That's the message.
There's the message. We're done. So, and for the viewers that are listening for the first time, this is what Nat and I do. We like sharing insights into human behavior and psychology so that you can make newfound decisions and choices on what you want to do. And today's lesson and learning is all about, are you up for a short, sharp detox? Nat.
Just say it again, Tommy. Just say it again slower, because honestly, that is an absolute belter.
Which part? What did I say?
Let's start right at the start. Let's go through this again, because I think this is a really, really important message. What happened to alcohol being almost like an exciting add-on delicacy, luxury item of like, oh, I get to enjoy a couple of them, 2 of my favorite cocktails or something, and I'm so excited for that. Versus now, it's like a go for it.
Yeah, I think one of the metaphors or analogies that people have really enjoyed is that you can look at it like your relationship with alcohol. And the minute you notice a problem, just look at it like this. When I go to a social event or I'm at home, is the social event or being alone at home the cake and the alcohol is the icing on the cake? Or does it feel like the alcohol is the cake and the social event is kind of the icing? And here's how you know.
Yeah.
Here's how you know what's going on. If you're going to a wedding and you ask something like this, is it an open tab? If you're going to a wake, which is the event after a funeral, and you're wondering how many free drinks you're going to get, you're going to notice that you're more concerned about the alcohol consumption as opposed to the event itself. So that's the metaphor and analogy I think a lot of people like. So at Drinkless Feel Fresh, we believe in getting back to having a relationship with alcohol that you love and respect, which looks like it's getting back to being the icing on the cake. It's getting back to like, I'm choosing this. And by the way, another way to know that if you're choosing something is after you've done the deed, you feel proud or nothing. And if you feel guilty, it means you weren't choosing it, even if you're lying to yourself. So if you ever finish an event where you've been drinking and you feel guilty, just a reminder to let you know you didn't choose it, you needed it, and you were reliant on it. So you did something you didn't want to do. That's why you feel guilty. I think that's a really interesting way to look, like just on a surface level behavioral change. Yeah. If you're feeling guilty about a behavior, chances are you're not choosing the behavior, you feel needy to doing it. And that could be with alcohol. So yeah, when you ask the question, what was I sharing there? Just, I think people want to get back to enjoying. It's almost like the fruits of life, and alcohol becomes life for people. And that's really debilitating. Yeah. Like alcohol becomes life and completely gets in the way of life itself, family, friends, relationships, conversations that light us up, our hobbies, our interests, our health, our vitality, etc., etc. And I think that's the ultimate game, is to get back to living the life that you desire, where you can choose the external resources that you want, whether it's alcohol or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's so important that message is so key. It's like, if you went out to drink and you feel guilty, something else has made the choice. Something else has made the choice.
Yeah.
And it's a version of you didn't choose it, so what did?
If you know, they say often don't listen to your inner critic. When it comes to guilt, listen to your inner critic.
Tommy, this is fundamental. Like, there's so many times I'm working with people that if you feel guilty, check this out. If you're feeling guilt, my wife calls it the guilt. So cute.
Say it again.
Braden calls it the guilt. Oh no, I've got the guilt.
That is cute. That's the word I got for it.
If you're feeling guilty and you then rationalize a reason why the guilt is okay, then what you're doing is you're cutting yourself off from the discovery of why the guilt's there. And that is way more juicy than a reason why it's okay to be guilty.
Or avoiding the guilt by picking up a beverage to deal with it.
Yeah, anything that avoids the guilt, anything.
Okay, which is a perfect link into today's episode, which is what is the art of detoxing? The art of detoxing, short, sharp, looks after exactly what you just said. It is the fastest route to creating change with your relationship, because you are removing the thing that stops you from creating a relationship with yourself. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, perfect.
Like, short, sharp detoxes are so relevant. It also brings in the other metaphor, which is you need to learn to swim dive in the deep end. Yeah. Just look after the hardest obstacle first and work backwards from there.
I mean, when you said this, right? Short, sharp detox, you're replacing that, relationship with alcohol to relationship with yourself. Can you tell everyone, like, what does a relationship with yourself mean?
So, what a question. Oh. When it comes to detoxing, actually, I'll say it again a different way. The individuals that are looking to change their relationship with alcohol, whether they know it or they're not aware of it, they'll know it now. They're trying to create a relationship with themselves, a stronger one. They're trying to build characteristic traits. For example, how to make a decision and stick to it. How to manage my emotional levels or stress in ways that are good for me. Like, these are just characteristic traits and building on who we are as individuals. So we're trying to strengthen the relationship we have with ourselves. A really good way to know how strong your relationship with yourself is, you just ask yourself, when I say I'm going to do something, do I finish it? Do I know how to start, maintain, and complete the commitments I make myself? I think it's one of the most pivotal behavioral traits someone can experience, which is they start something, they maintain it, and they complete it. At the end of the spectrum is just, I say I'm going to do a lot, I do little.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when it comes to detoxing, I think what a detox actually does, it gives you a huge insight into the work that actually needs to be made. And here we're getting into the dynamics of, like, this isn't about alcohol. This is about you. And someone says to me, when someone says to us and wants to sign up at our Drink Less Feel Fresh membership, become a member, they say, so I'm thinking about, changing my relationship with alcohol. And I'm saying, well, what do you want to get out of it? And it's, I just, need to kick alcohol to the curb. And I said, well, you really need to know how to back yourself, really. It's not about alcohol. You need to know how to back yourself, make a decision, and stick to it. And they go, Oh yeah, I guess that is. What I say to them is, I challenge you to kick alcohol to the curb for 30 days and you'll find out who you are. Does that answer your question, Matt?
Perfect. That's perfect. So it's kind of what you're saying is that it's more of the detox is not exactly the approach to change everything. The detox is step to unveil what needs to change everything.
Nailed it. Nailed it. That is it. And we've often seen
epic.
we've often seen that, and this is why when someone says to us at Drink Less Feel Fresh, what is the desired amount to detox? Could be 24 hours, it could be 7 days, could be 90 days. They're generally the windows. Anything longer than 90 days, I suggest you're missing the point in the 90 days. The 90 days is a huge window regarding time. So whether it's 24 hours or 90 days, I often say to them, ask yourself this question. What amount of time in your mind would be a long enough period to detox that if you did it, it means you could do anything?
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that is it, because everybody's relationship is so unique. You're a big one on this, Nat. Like, everyone's relationship with alcohol and their detox journey or their alcohol reduction journey is so intimate and individualized that it should never be thrown out like there's a certain solution. If that was the case, there'd be no such thing as an alcoholic or someone that has a relationship with alcohol that's not healthy. So yeah, for someone it's 24 hours and for someone it's 90 days. You just got to ask yourself, what's the amount of time that I got to detox that'll prove to me, wow, I can do this? Because that's what it really comes down to. And for some people, it's 24 hours and they're not able to stick to their commitments, which is showing them that they've got work to do when it comes to the relationship with themselves. Now, let me know your thoughts on this, but detoxing, removing something from your life from a small amount of time, will present the problems that are causing you and leading you to drink in the first place.
It can't not. Perfect.
That's why we hear a lot of the time. And then this is one of the deterrents for people not to detox, because they don't want to deal with the real problem. They don't want to deal with the real problem.
Oh, yeah, like, I'll do it later. Whatever. Yeah.
There we go. And the truth is, and here's a golden nugget, and I'm going to ask your thoughts on this, Nat. But the truth is, addiction is nothing more than the need to feel something so we don't have to feel something else. Or addiction is the need to experience a problem because it's actually a little bit easier than experiencing the other problem.
Yeah, I'll back it. Yeah, for sure.
And that's it. And here's what a detox does. It forces you to step up and deal with the problem that's causing you to drink in the first place. Nat.
Well, I was just going to say that, especially when the other problem, like let's say you've got, okay, I know if I go have a big night, I know the ins and outs of that problem, right? I know I'm going to have an okay time, and then there's going to be problems later, but I know I'm familiar with those problems in that realm. Now, if I detox, I'm not familiar with the other problems that happen when I don't drink. So which problem are you going to take? The really familiar one or the scary, unfamiliar one?
Oh, really well said. Anybody that's listening right now, if you've been interested in detoxing, take on board what Nat just said, because this is where you build your character. This is where you build the relationship you have with yourself. The definition of building a relationship with yourself can be looked at through the lens of, I'm learning to experience unfamiliar problems. That's it.
That's it.
That is it. If you want to build your character, your ability to make decisions and back yourself through to the end, your ability to manage emotions in a way that lights you up, even though it's really challenging, your ability to handle relationships in a deeper way than you thought possible before, your ability to set boundaries, your ability to set looser boundaries and let them down from time to time. So many benefits are going to come from, am I prepared to deal with the problem I'm least familiar with? And here's a couple. Nat, jump in a sec. Let's just go through a couple of problems that people are not familiar with. When people remove, let's say 30 days, let's give the 30-day detox, because we run that all the time at Drink Less Feel Fresh. The 30-day detox. Here's some of the problems that people experience that they're unfamiliar with. Tom and Nat, I don't know how to deal with being freaking bored. I'm so bored. It's Friday night. I'm bored and I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar problem. You know what's a familiar problem? Oh, no, I shouldn't be drinking this, but oh God, I'm going to be guilty tomorrow. Oh my God, I'm feeling anxious. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, this is great. I get a good night's sleep. The next morning, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Familiar problem. Painful, but familiar. Not familiar. Friday night, sitting at home. FOMO, friends are asking me out. I'm bored. I'm lonely. Don't know what to do with myself. What are some other problems that come up now that individuals are wanting to develop but just aren't aware of?
Feeling like definitely feeling like, well, if I'm not going to do this, then where's my social life? Like, what else do I do with my social life? Do I, because then two problems arise. One, what else do I do? And second thing, how the hell do I be social without this?
Which you're kind of getting really close just to the only problem that ever exists, which is the feeling of who the hell am I?
Yeah, which we can get down there. Who am I? Yeah.
Yeah, who am I, right? Like, social life's not there. Friday night drinks aren't there. Like, who am I? Who is this person? How does this person respond to people?
And the more you can sit in that space, the only thing left is to find that out. That's the only thing left.
Ah, that's so juicy. We'd love to hear from anybody that's live. Feel free to jump into the chat panel. We think we're going to, provide these as engaging as we can. So jump into the chat panel. And for those of you that are watching the recording on Spotify or wherever else you find your podcast, please send an email into info@drinklessfeelfresh.com and let us know what are some of the unfamiliar problems that have arose for you that you're learning to deal with. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's the thing though, Tommy. Unfamiliar problems. I think that's the biggest challenge.
Are you willing to handle unfamiliar problems? Now, here's one of the keys that we would like to debunk from the traditional approach. If alcohol is the problem and has to be removed from your life, then where's the journey of handling unfamiliar problems?
Yeah.
If you are stuck fixated on the alcohol is the problem, then you've completely forgotten the 30 minutes of this podcast, which is, hang on, what about the problematic area of me not knowing how to start, maintain, and complete things?
Yeah.
What about, excuse me, what about the problematic area within my character where I don't know how to say no to people, or I don't know how to say yes to myself? Those are two things that alcohol always give us permission to do, is say yes to things that we naturally wouldn't. Or it also gives us the courage to say no to things and people that we naturally wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't people find it like, let's bring that fun and lightheartedness in that? How easy is it when you're a bit intoxicated to be like, yeah, let's do that? And how easy is it to go, nah, F that, that's a silly idea. Like, this freedom of speech seems to come out.
Well, that's literally, Tommy, that what alcohol does, right, is make you verbally more fluent. Literally, that's one of its effects. Is how's this for an effect, right? How's this for a drug, for a substance? Okay. Alcohol is the only thing that does this. Okay. It makes you more socially aware, not less, right? It makes you more socially aware. Okay, great. It also massively strengthens personal boundaries. It makes your ego stronger. And it makes you more verbally fluent. So check out this combination. I'm more socially aware. I'm more of an asshole, and I'm better with my words. That's the outcome.
I love how excited you get when we think about the positives. Like, I shouldn't use the word positives. I'm going to the surface level positive benefits of alcohol, because it's true. As opposed to having this conversation like, no, it's not good, it stuffs your life up. We get that, but it's also good at recognizing what you're getting out of it. Yeah. Because, and here's the benefit, as opposed to thinking, oh, like I did for years, it was like, everybody else is good with alcohol, I must be, I must have an issue. The truth is, no, not everybody else is good with alcohol. Those, and this is going to sound really judgmental, and it probably isn't, it is a little bit, we're going to say it anyway, those that are overly dependent on alcohol lack certain character traits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massively. Those who, the more you are needing a substance like alcohol, it's not saying the characteristic traits aren't there, we just can't see them. It's an alternate, isn't that said, it's a drug. It is changing the chemical dynamic within your brain, and therefore your choices, and therefore your behaviors. So how much of the purity in you are we actually seeing? And that's as Nat laughs and I love. It's not about not doing it. This isn't about don't drink alcohol. Just being about really honest with yourself. Am I bringing the real version of me to this thing we call life? Is this me that I'm bringing to the table? Or am I unaware of who I am and I don't feel comfortable with who I am on my own? So I need 2.5 glasses of wine or a couple of scotches or a few beers to settle into being me. Yeah. Which right there could be the ultimate jail cell that we build for ourselves, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, Thomas, what a start.
Nat, I've absolutely loved this the podcast. I felt like bringing a little bit of a couple of key actionable outcomes for people from some emails that we've received recently, wanting more actionable steps. What are a couple of
festive season challenge? Yes.
What's that?
You talking about doing the festive season challenge?
I wasn't, but so good. Now, you know what? We should get better at that. I was listening to a podcast the other day. They've just racked up their 2,500 podcast, and they said this, and I took it from them. They said, by the way, if you haven't read our book, purchase our book. And they both laughed and got really uncomfortable. Like, we should probably get better at pitching our products on here. Yeah. So I love that, man. I think you and I should probably get better at pitching our services. So yeah, definitely. I wasn't thinking that, Nat, because that wasn't on my radar, but for sure. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, I'm up for a detox, come and join the Drink Less, Feel Fresh. If you're listening to this before the 2022 festive season, of course. If someone's listening to this in 2030, they've gone back to listen. Like, where's the festive season challenge? If you're thinking about doing a short, sharp mini detox, come and jump on board with our 4-week masterclass festive season mini challenge, happening over the 4 weeks of Christmas and New Year's Eve, where Nat and I will be privately mentoring 30 to 50 people through a 4-week detox challenge. Just so you know, you don't have to remain sober for the whole event. People are going to be picking how many days out of the 4 weeks they want to be sober. If you want more details to that, we're not going to lay them out here. Just email info@drinklessfeelfresh.com and say, hey guys, what's the festive season mini challenge? And we'll send through the details. In saying that, a couple of things from me. Back yourself to start a detox, not because you need it. Do not enter this journey with, I have to kick alcohol to the curb because I can't live with it anymore. Approach it from a place of, I'm curious to start a detox, whether it's 24 hours, 3 days, or 7 days, because I want to get to know myself. And that thinking alone is a game changer. Like that, how liberating and powerful does that feel, as opposed to how you started the call, which is, Tommy, you're never allowed to drink. And on your deathbed, I'm going to come in with my notepad and say, did you drink over the past 45 years?
Exactly.
So how liberating is it to go, you know what, I'm not drinking because I want to strengthen the relationship I have with myself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's even if you flip that on its head and reverse the language, it's still liberating. So the inverse of that, Tommy, to speak it out, would be, I'm not convinced that alcohol is the one and only reason why I am like this. I wonder what else is there. So when people go, alcohol's a problem, what you've done is you think you know you in total, and it's just that one thing. It's like something can be really liberating. Go, wow, you're telling me there's other options and other reasons all this could be happening that I could access and learn from? Wow.
Yeah, welcome the rabbit hole of, it's just a completely different approach, mate. Why are these approaches not out there? Hey, detox, learn about yourself, challenge the status quo, figure out who you are. No matter what age you are, you can build character traits, you can change your identity, you can grow.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to have to zip my lips, Nat, because
we're 3 minutes over time.
You and me being raring today. Any last minute insights there, Nat?
No, I'll keep pushing the message that, look, alcohol's fun and it changes things, and it changes things for the better momentarily. It's not a bad thing. It's obvious why people drink. It's not, don't think it's obvious why people get stuck, right? It's obvious that people drink. It's not obvious why people get a bit stuck.
Really well said. Really well said. I think that'll wrap us up beautifully. Nat, is this episode 3?
3.
Thank you for listening to episode 3, which is the art and science behind detoxing. Okay?
Is it 4? Is it episode 4?
I don't know. Let's go with 3.
Okay.
Let's go with 3, and we'll edit it on our socials if so. Thank you for listening to The Art of Detoxing. Thank you so much to the viewers that have showed up live. For those of you that are watching the recording, you can register and show up live and share your comments and rock out with us on every Feel Fresh Monday, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern, at the moment, daylight time. Feel free to jump on the Drink Less, Feel Fresh website, and you can register and show up to us next time. Here's to drinking less and feeling fresh. Here's to living with choice. Bye for now.